Hello and welcome to another This Is The Music podcast. This week we're joined by Jack from Scottish band The Ros, who have just released their debut album, When Does It Become Real? Jack, thanks very much for coming on. How are you doing?
Sorry, I was just getting a slug of red wine there. It's that time of the week. Yes, I'm doing great, mate. How's yourself?
Yeah, can't complain. All good down here.
Good, mate.
Apart from the weather, but yeah.
Yeah, and COVID, but anyway.
Yeah. Anyway, let's talk some rock and roll. So,
Yes.
obviously, as we mentioned there in the introduction, you've just released your brilliant debut album, When Does It Become Real? It's a great rock and roll album with some great anthems and some ballads as well in there. So you must be pretty pleased now that you've finally got it out there.
Yeah, finally. It's only took us 10 years, but yeah, I'm really glad to get it out. I guess a sigh of relief in a way, but more sense of achievement to finally get it over the line. Yeah.
Yeah, sure. So, before we start discussing some of the tracks on the album, I'm sort of quite intrigued about the artwork. What was the inspiration behind it, and where actually was the photograph taken?
So all the artworks that are part of the album, as in the singles off the album and stuff, they're all landmarks pretty much in the local area of Preston Pans where we stay. The album cover is actually where we practice at the local golf club, the Royal Musselburgh Golf Club. It's Preston Grange House. That's the actual name of the building. So yeah, it was just kind of take a photo of that, edit it the same way as we've edited every other photo for the kind of release, and yeah, that was it. We wanted to keep it all close to home and relevant. So yeah, it's good. I love that. I love it.
Yeah, it's quite a striking image as well. I think actually,
yeah.
Really stands out, especially when you think of some of the other album covers that are out there. You know, a lot of the time it's just like whoever's in the band and that type of it, which
yeah,
it was generic, really.
It was hard for us. We're trying to kind of relate it in a way that wasn't too obvious and be creative at the same time. So the first single, "The Time Is Now," is the church that's next door, my mum and dad's house, where I grew up, where I stayed for 19 years of my life. So, and then the second single, "She's Not," is the power station chimneys, which have been demolished now, but my dad actually worked there for 24 years.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so Kilkenzie Power Station, yeah, it's, the demolition was about 5-6 years ago. And then the upcoming single, double A side single, is Preston Tower, which is probably the most historic landmark in Preston Pans. And then, yeah, as I mentioned, Preston Grange House. So, yeah, it's all very relevant.
Oh, okay. Oh, yeah, I've said before I was intrigued, and that's definitely got my imagination going there with that.
Yeah, no, if you're very intrigued, have a look into the history of like Preston Tower, the Battle of Preston Pans, and even into like Preston Grange House, where like Mary Queen of Scots and stuff, she stayed there. So it's definitely haunted, yeah.
Oh, okay. Wow. Well, I know my missus would definitely be interested in that. and I'll definitely be passing that on to her when later on this evening. So obviously you mentioned that it's taken you guys about 10 years to get the album finally out there. So what was the recording process like, and where did you record it? I'm guessing probably quite a few different locations.
There was various locations. I mean, it's from the form of the band. That was 10 years, so it's not actually took us 10 years to.
Yeah,
I guess it's from the formation of the band till the album. It's basically been 10 years, but the recording process for the actual album track started in 2017. That was The Time Is Now. Was all the majority of the recording was done in that session in 2017 when we first met our producer James Darkin. That was in Glasgow, and then Sweet Talker was actually prior to that. That was produced by Ronnie. I'm not even going to try and pronounce his second name. It's I won't take any offence to it. Is born into a Polish family, so yeah, you can imagine I guess it's about 10 digits long.
Yeah.
But yeah, before I go down a rabbit hole, he produced Sweet Talker, and that was just prior to 2007. So it was early 2017 was when we released that. So yeah, it was probably about the tail end of 2016 it started, into 2017 it's finished. So from there, it's been kind of a couple staggered here and there, like say Land of the Dreamers, Take It All In. They were kind of in between the last couple of sessions that started probably end of 2018 into the end of 2019, which was one in Leeds at Chairwork Studios.
Yeah.
And then the majority of the album was recorded over in Ireland, either in Dublin or when James moved studio to Dundalk,
Right.
Black Mountain Studio. It's amazing. It's like a
Yeah.
happy place. So yeah, well, it's any excuse. As soon as we saved up a bit of dough, it was like, yeah, we need to record more songs straight over there. But it was all relevant. So yeah, Black Mountain Studios, amazing. So that was where the bulk of the album was recorded. A lot of it, like vocally and even to an extent, like keyboards and that was actually done either in the band room at the Royal Musselburgh or in the studio downstairs in my house. It was all, yeah. So there has been a bit of to and fro, but I guess it's the story of the band, and that's why we didn't want to leave The Time Is Now and stuff like that. We wanted to try and include what has made us in the piece of art that is our debut album.
Yeah.
Every single track has been reworked in a way or been edited or additions, like say The Time Is Now, we redone the bass, backing vocals, stuff like that, because there has been changes in the personnel. So we just wanted to kind of bring everything up to date. So yeah, basically all the previous members, so they don't get any royalties anymore. that was it.
Hey, I don't blame you. I'll be doing the same thing.
Sorry, boys, if you're going to listen to this.
So, if how would you describe the sound of the band to someone that was going to listen to you for the very first time?
I guess like I'd probably say it quite a lot, because when I tell people at work, you're in a band, what type of band, what type of music, and it's hard to kind of just to Davey down the road, it's hard to kind of explain our sound. Like if I say Queens of the Stone Age, he's probably got to go, who? So it's, I guess I would say in general terms, it's rock music, a little bit of Britpop, a little bit of kind of heavier rock towards the Foo Fighters, Royal Blood. It's so I think that's the good thing about our setup, is every single person in the band has got a variety of tastes.
Yeah.
Like I can go all the way to 2 weeks solidly listening to disco music, then the next again week listening to like Tame Impala, and then and to be fair, every single person in the band's the same. They all shoot in different directions, and when that all comes to the table, it produces what our sound is.
Yeah, sure. I think that's a great answer, to be honest, with the description. I think that's pretty much.
I'm always intrigued to see what, like see yourself, what you would say.
Oh no, I'm getting put on the spot.
No, not at all. But I'm always just intrigued, because I like when people compare The Time Is Now to the Cult a lot, and I've not actually listened to the Cult that much except for their hits, and it probably is She Sells Sanctuary that the Time Is Now gets compared to quite a lot, and people say that my vocals quite like it as well, but me being me, I'm like, nah, it doesn't really sound like that. So it's always quite intriguing, and especially bands like Doves and the music, a lot of people have said that over the years. Like I've been in the music more recently, I've got into the music, but I've been into Doves for quite a long time.
Yeah, great band.
Yeah, amazing, but you would never say to somebody the Doves. I don't know why. It's just, I guess you always try and say the bigger acts. So
yeah. I think you're
gonna we sound like Oasis, mate. You should come see us. I guess that's it.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. Well, I can come on to it in a little while. I can hear sort of like Black Rebel Motorcycle Club as well.
Yeah. Another massive influence for us.
Yeah, great. Another brilliant band, fantastic live. So obviously you've mentioned a couple of times there the Time Is Now, which is a great opening to the album. It's a sort of quite a rocky sound, I feel,
Yeah,
and it's a bit of a call to arms as well. You know, this is the band. We're coming over. You know, this is my time is now, I guess, so effectively.
yeah, exactly.
So I'm correct. Is this one of the oldest songs that you've had, like as a band, and it got reworked? So, so it got reworked to the version, obviously, that we've heard today on
Yeah.
the album and stuff. So, what was it about this track that was like, yeah, that's got to be the opening song for us?
So like, try to think. I guess it was like 2013. I think it was written. It appeared on an EP that we like chucked up on. I don't know if it was MySpace, but like Bandcamp and the equivalent back in like the early Facebook days. That's where it appeared. I'd hate, like, I'm going to have to dig it out. I've actually mentioned that in a few different things recently, so I really need to dig it out and kind of go, oh my god. But so from 2013, it's grew arms and legs, and it kind of naturally progressed with us,
right,
as a band. And it was, so the original version never had the pure Braveheart war speech at the start, which was another kind of controversial moment in the studio, where I thought, like, I came up with the idea, I thought it was great, and then when I started doing it, I was like, no, I'm not really enjoying this. I thought it was kind of forced, and then a couple of beers and I was like, right, let's do this. So there was a moment in the studio where it was like nip and tuck. It was going to be, are we getting rid of this? Are we not? Because it was in the track.
Yeah.
And see, to be fair, we'd done the whole recording process with it muted after I'd done it, because I knew it would sicken me. So I was like, please just mute that and we'll come back to it. So by the time we got the master after the recording, I was like, oh, I remember that speech for the start. And then it was just kind of, all the boys were loving it. They're like, nah, you need to keep that, you need to keep that. So yeah, it kind of, because it has grew with us, and it's these songs that we've actually played last in a set, we've played first.
Yeah.
I think we've also played it like second a couple of times. It's just one of the, like, it's a staple of a track. Yeah, it's a kidney puncher. Eh? So as it has grew with us, we have never ever wanted to let go of it.
Yeah.
We've actually done a version at Liquid Rooms in Edinburgh, and I think it lasted about 10 minutes. We went into a big instrumental after it. Like, we all enjoyed it, but everybody in the crowd just must have been like, these boys are thinking they're like Tame Impala or something here. What are they doing? But we really enjoyed it, so maybe that'll come out in the wash as well. But yeah, I think the answer would be just because it has grew with us. It's grew and been through the progression of the band. The track has literally naturally progressed, and as I say, we wanted the piece of art as our debut album to be what we have been, not just what we've become. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We wanted a couple of like nostalgic tracks for us in there. So yeah, The Time Is Now was one that made the cut.
Well, I must admit, I'm glad that it did make the cut, because as I say, I think it's a brilliant song, and it's a real, as I say, a real statement of intent, I think, for what's to follow on the remaining 11 tracks.
Yeah, I think we all kind of agreed even before we properly started recording for the album, that was going to be the opening track of the album. It was always kind of, it was never a talked about thing, but it was just like we all, we all just knew it was going to happen and agreed. So yeah, that was fine.
Oh, brilliant! Happy days. So, on the 4th of June, you're obviously releasing Our Design and If You Never Try, You'll Never Know as a double A side. So, was it always an ambition to release a double A side, and why these two songs in particular?
It was never, like, we never ever thought that we could even get away with it. Like, we didn't even think about that being part of the process. It was more our PR team that kind of says, listen, the album is out. We want to get as much hype and, like, literally, hype is the word. We want to get as much hype generated for you as a band for your album on radio, on whatever podcast reviews, right across the board.
Yeah.
If the album's out, what does it matter how many songs you put to the
Yeah,
radio
sure.
as a plugin? So you'll know yourself, if you never tries more quite a rockier track, probably more leaning towards Black Rebel. Our design is more majestic and melodic and like more stereophonics. So I think that is kind of our two, possibly one of our two strongest tracks on the album. If I was to show whoever our back catalogue, they would if I was to show them 4 songs, they two would definitely be in it.
Yeah.
So we take a lot of people's opinions, and especially for us just being from Preston fans, we have no real knowledge of the in depth of the music scene and the music industry as a whole. So when we get the opinion of a guy who's like, as Darren Broom at Lost Agency, thank you very much, Darren, because he's been unbelievable. He's got some crazy plays, and the guy that achieved the first Radio 1 play for us, we're not going to turn around to him and say, "Nah, Darren, you're wrong." So that was kind of it. We're members of a band, really. That's what it comes to. You let other people make these decisions when they've got the knowledge and the experience. So that was kind of it. We've actually got, now I think we've got a different version of our design. It's more like a stripped back version. And when we confirmed the double A side, it wasn't until after I put it into distribution process. I was like, oh no, we were going to release that as the B side to our design single. So my mate Glenn, who's doing a recording at Edinburgh Uni, it will get released. So yeah, he done it, and it definitely will get released. So maybe need to now release our design EP or something. Folk will probably be sick of our design by the time it comes around. But hey ho, more content.
Yeah, definitely. I look forward to hearing that. And obviously, as you just said there, with the two sort of contrasting sounds on the 2 songs there that we've just mentioned, it will be quite nice actually to listen to a slightly more stripped back version of ours.
Yeah, and I guess the main aim of the double A side was, so an example would be 6 Music and Radio 1.
Yeah.
They could, depending who's on, what night, whatever, they can go, oh, we'll have some of that. No, it's a bit too rocky. Oh, there's another one, we'll have that.
Yeah,
like that was the thinking. I guess it is cheeky in a way, and but who cares?
No, actually, and I think that's a great way of looking at it, actually, that, different with the demographic and the audiences like that. So, hopefully that would, I like that, and I'll get more into it.
Exactly.
Which is obviously what we're hoping for you guys. So
fingers crossed.
So we end side 1, and then start side 2 with a couple of ballads, which are in the form of Watch the World and Faults. So when selecting the running order for the album, sort of how much influence did you guys have over it? And was it something that was all agreed by all the band members, or was it just, one member who just basically said, right, that's the running order and we're going for it?
I always had in my head that it would be a slower song. I like to listen to records a lot. So when selecting the end of side A, it was a big thing. If you see that on Apple Music, like number 6 doesn't really matter. But because we are releasing it in record form, we put a lot of thought into how side A would end, how it would start, and then how it would end again. Just like putting the time as an hours opener kind of thing.
Yeah, sure.
But yeah, it was all, as in the track listings, was a majority decision, but I always had in my head that, let's get a wee slower song just to mellow out, come back in with a build on a kind of progressive track and thoughts, and then what was it, She's Not or whatever, wham, we're back. There was a wee bit of thought went into it. No track was recorded in that way. It was just what we had in the bank kind of thing. But it was well thought of.
Yeah. Oh well, I think it worked really, really, really well. And obviously, as you just said there, we then go into She's Not, which is one of my personal favourites from the album. I think actually the first song of yours that I actually heard. So I've been quite late into getting into you guys.
That's all right. We enjoy a latecomer, mate.
Obviously, it's a really, really rocking song. And we've already mentioned them. It's got a bit of a like an early Black Rubber Motorcycle Club vibe to it. So what is the song about, if anything?
Yeah, see, lyrics to me are, I didn't get too in depth about lyrics. I really should as a writer, but
yeah,
some of it is really relative and relatable, as in to individuals. Some of it is kind of on universal aspect. So it's basically about gold diggers. It's about girls that go with boys because they like money, they like material goods. It's very relative to this day and age when you see the Canada Goose jackets, the white NY caps, and their white teeth. Like, yeah, I could go on all day. We could go right down the rabbit hole here, but we're not gonna. So yeah, you know exactly what it's about.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's kind of about that. It's just, and I guess it grew arms and legs. Just as a writer, you just get a kind of subject, and it just goes arms and legs. Yeah. And that's kind of majority of the tracks are wrote like that. To be fair, you get a subject and you just roll with it. Some wee tongue in cheeks are chucked in, and yeah, that's pretty much it. It's about gold diggers. It's all in the title. She's not that fond of you is the line. So
yeah,
there's no hidden secrets in there.
Yeah, straight to the point.
Yeah.
The last, sorry, I've listened a couple of tracks out there, but the last song on the album is Fuel to the Fire, which for me sort of looks at the current sort of social and political situation, particularly across like the UK at the moment.
Yep.
One of the things that fascinated me with this song, so we've got a bit of piano on it and obviously your vocal, but somehow you've managed to work bagpipes into the song. So is there a member of the band playing the bagpipes? And where did that idea come from?
So we didn't want to go full patriotic and have the full Highland drums. So we just got one. We just got one piper. We didn't want to go full Paul McCartney with Molly Kintyre kind of vibe. It was always in the back of my head when creating the record that I don't know. I can't mind like where the idea kind of fed from. At the time, I probably was influenced by Paul McCartney, by the way, because at the time I was listening to a lot of Paul McCartney, and Molly Kintyre was somehow on repeat for a bit. But so it was. I just wanted to end the album on something that everybody would remember. There was a point where it's like, wow, and I wanted it to be spine tingling. And for us as Scots, there's nothing better than the drone of the bagpipe coming in, and proper send shivers. So I wanted it to be about that. And as you've said, the track is it was written around the time of the Scottish referendum.
Right.
Like I wrote kind of the basis of it. There was a made up version about Tories and stuff, but we'll not get into that. Which it was one of the house party songs that used to bring out, but we'll know so I'm never going to sing the lyrics again. But it was so especially us being from the Central Belt as well, the conflict between Protestants, Catholics, nationalists, unionists, like it's just incredible. Like just the other day, it shows you how crazy Central Scotland is. Just the other day, the ex-chairman, the ex-CEO of Celtic, his house got petrol bombed.
Yes, I saw. Yes.
And then people are on Twitter saying, no, it was the Celtic fans. No, it was the Rangers fans. Like, what are we living in? Yeah. What is that is just bizarre because of the colour of the strip you wear, or because you're born into a family of whatever religion that you think everybody else is scum, whatever word you want to use for it, which is just, it blows my mind. It absolutely blows my mind that people would fight just because of religion.
Yeah,
like it's incredible, and because of whatever their beliefs are. the thing is, they both believe in the same God. How does that work? But anyway, it's again. We could be here for a good, what is it, 8 o'clock, 8:20. We could be here till midnight. I could be 3 bottles of red wine down and you'd still have the conflict sorted in Central Belt of Scotland. But so all of that was in my mind when writing the track. As I say, it was written around the time of the Scottish referendum, and rather than anybody have grown up debates and professional debates, it was just no, fuck no, like it was just like there was no reasoning. It was we want this flag, we want that flag. That was literally some of the arguments that I was seeing. Is we are voting this so we can fly this flag at the football kind of thing. That's the pretty much point of the argument, and I just so that was all relevant when writing the track.
Yeah. So I think it's a really, really good song, and I think it's a great way to sort of end the album as well. With that.
I didn't want to end it on a sad note as such, but that was the song that we had in the bank, and when I started playing it on piano, we originally had a version on organ, which then grew far too many arms and legs and went into like a full version, a full track, and I kind of lost touch with the actual song. Like it was always just me practicing playing it with an acoustic guitar. Then it went just on piano, then it went to organ, and then it went into this full band, which was just never going to happen. At the end of the recording process, I said, I've got this wee track I think could work, and I was playing it here and there. We're in the room, and then it just kind of worked. It worked very well. But yeah, the lyrics are quite universal to probably everybody's country. That's a good thing about it. I wasn't going to name any names when writing it. I would have been showing my stance, showing what side of the table I'm sitting at, and you don't want that. No. So it's all very universal, and but yeah, that's what was relative when writing it. So
yeah. As I said, it's a brilliant song. So I can imagine that playing live is obviously a pretty big thing for the Ras. And obviously you're back on tour, aren't you, in October? You've got the date at Sneaky Pete's in Edinburgh sold out, but I understand there are still limited tickets available for the date at Aberdeen, the think tank even in Newcastle, and the broadcast in Glasgow. So hit the Ras social sites to get your tickets. Jack, I'm guessing you must be pretty excited to be getting back out to playing live gigs again. And for people like myself that haven't actually been able to see you live yet, what can they expect from one of these gigs that are coming up?
There'll be a lot of energy, definitely. We've been waiting. This will be, by the time it comes round, it's probably going to be like 23 months. My calculations are correct from gig.
Yeah.
Luckily, in between, when restrictions got relaxed last time, we managed to kind of record our She's Not video, but it was all miming and stuff as a video is, so it wasn't really, there was a bond, there was a wee bit of energy released, but it's just not the same. So yeah, playing on the stage in front of, as you say, a sold out crowd at Edinburgh is going to be fantastic. Hopefully Glasgow can join the sold out gang. Aberdeen, we're hoping we can get close in Aberdeen as well. But yeah, buzzing to get back out. Hopefully everybody's the same. We don't know what's ahead, so hopefully there's gigs ahead prior to October. Obviously, to celebrate the release of the album and stuff would be amazing. Prior to that. So, but we're not going to rely on anything happening. Like even when you mentioned October, I'm like, oh, what month is it? where have we got? It's May. It is May 2021. Like, I'm sure I was sitting here. That's probably a year ago, but it feels like a couple of days ago. Everything's just went. Shoo!
Yeah, it's gone very quick, hasn't it? Even though we've literally done nothing.
Even looking there, I'm looking pretty old, man. What's happened?
Oh, you're looking old, blimey. So, what's your favourite song from the album? Either like a song that maybe means the most to you, or maybe one that you're really looking forward to playing live.
Currently, it's probably "Fuel to the Fire." Just I think because the reception it's received and how it's been received. I was always not nervous as such, but you're always a bit wary of how it's going to be received by the outsiders, because literally that song is probably, except for the random house parties, has probably never seen the light of day prior to it going out on the album. So you were always a bit wary of where it was going to go. And even we kept the bagpipes like pretty secret, like even in our families and stuff. Like I think it was all my fiance that actually heard it. I don't think my dad or my brother or stuff heard it. So when it came to light that there was bagpipes on the album, first thing my dad says was like, "Oh, you need to take that out to your granddad and let him listen to it," because I actually used to play bagpipes. And it's one of my biggest and probably only regrets in life that I never stuck in with bagpipes. Like, I'd love to have been the guy in the album playing the bloody bagpipes, but now I've got to pay him for doing my wedding. I've got to pay him for doing my wedding as well. What an idiot! But yeah, that is one of my biggest and probably only regrets that I never stuck in. And yeah, I've still not got up to see my granddad with the track. Actually, I need to maybe show him, because we used to go to like the tattoo, which is like in Edinburgh, the Royal Military Tattoo, and it was the mass pipes and drums, and he was the one that, I guess, where I get my music, like my creativity with music and stuff. He had me the age of probably 2, well, maybe younger actually, one up and down the living room dancing to Scottish Ceilidh music. He loves it, so that's probably where I get my moves from. So yeah, "Fuel to the Fire" is probably currently is my favourite. The one I'm looking to play the most, well, it depends if we get a piper in for that one. That would be pretty awesome. But I think, I don't know. Well, probably the first couple of gigs, depending on when they are, I think we'll probably attempt to play the album start to finish.
Right. Okay. Yeah. Brilliant.
So, I mean, it could work.
Yeah.
That'd be funny. But I'm hoping it'll work. So, like say, Watch the World. So, Watch the World, there's versions of that out there where it's full band.
Right.
So, it's like even playing it as the produced version will be strange, because I think, well, that and "Fuel to the Fire" is only 2 tracks without any percussion on them. That track doesn't even have electric guitar on it. It's only got acoustic guitar and bass, which is some combination. But it's so stuff like that. I'm quite into being creative and experimental. So yeah, we need to pull our fingers out and get practicing the tracks. So yeah, no, I just can't wait. I can't wait to even attempt it. Like, it's going to be fun. It's going to be fun.
Yeah, definitely. I think the what I'm liking about that answer is that I can hear how passionate you are, like about the album anyway, but also as well about getting back to playing the live gigs. And I think that the people, if you haven't got a ticket yet, go and get a ticket, because I think it's going to be a great night by the sound of it. So what's your go-to karaoke song?
Oh man, go-to karaoke song. It's probably one. So I'm a Hibs fan, and when we go away with the Hibs, we normally adopt a song for each trip. So I don't know. It would be something stupid. I never ever try and go for like a Queen number or something. Like, I never try to push myself too much. There's no point in that. I go for the entertainment value. Because if I turn out really bad, everyone will be like, "He's terrible at singing." So
Never had
I
to live
would,
it
I
down.
would, I would probably be like. So the recent one is Dawn Knock 3 times.
Right, okay. What's that?
It's absolutely terrible. Please don't go and listen to it. It's terrible. But it would be something of that like caliber, something cheesy and stupid. Yeah.
Yeah, okay. So what about your musical heroes? Have you got any and who are they?
Lennon's the biggest. My cat's called Bowie, so Bowie as well. McCartney, of course. Harrison. Yeah, let's just say the Beatles. Who else? Who else isn't like my go-to? I don't know. I guess that's the main ones. They're the main ones. They're um they're the heroes as such. But like when I first got into music, the bands that I was getting into was the bands that my brother was already into.
Right.
So it was like, say, The View, The Enemy, Arctic Monkeys. They were all the bands that were like relative when I got into music.
Yeah.
And like I was obsessed with The View and Kyle Faulkner and that. And we finally got to support them, which was like, this is it. So and we played on the same bill as Kyle quite a few times actually.
Yeah.
But yeah, that I guess that to an extent they're heroes as well because they made me. Pete Doherty, that's the one that made me pick up the guitar.
Yeah.
It was my first gig, so as soon as I went, it was stand at the back, sneaky pint under the jacket, 15-year-old, standing, and as soon like I don't know if you've ever been to see Pete Doherty solo.
Well,
So
not his solo. I've seen the Libertines a few times, but
yeah, so his solo there is. I'm trying to think how it's like Victorian music. So it's like it's always like a classical kind of, and then you know he's coming on, the lights dim. It's like I was just kind of like, what am I getting myself in for here? What is this?
Yeah.
And he walked out on stage, and everybody, as soon as he picked up the guitar, like he just strummed the first chord. Like Pete Doherty's no Pete Townsend or like anything fantastic. He just strummed it, and the crowd were on the palm of his hand for the rest of the show. Like he's, you know what he is? He's an absolute riot. So just to see him, I was just like, how is this? Like, I was just gobsmacked at how you could just go like that. The crowd just went like that, and he had the crowd in the palm of his hand, and I was just like, I want to be that guy.
Yeah.
I didn't want to have the same marks on my arm as him, but I want to be that guy. And from there, it was just obsession with Baby Shambles, Libertines. Then it rolled into The View, and grew arms and legs. That was it. That was my first dibs into music.
Yeah, that era that you mentioned at the beginning of that answer there with The View, The Enemy, and that was like sort of the early noughties.
Yeah, they noughties.
That was a great era for music, and it's great actually to see as well that that Carl's back out. He's released a few solo stuff as well.
I honestly love the Baby Shambles as well. Were just for some reason used to get in arguments with my friends in that house parties, and it always used to be, Baby Shambles are better than the Libertines, and I always secretly said the Baby Shambles, but at heart I knew it was the Libertines.
Baby Shambles wrote sort of good tracks, but I don't think they'll be beating Libertines. I don't think.
No way.
If you think like their influence and everything, and obviously as you just described there, what they probably mean to people as well. So, do you think that the Rals would ever consider recording like a cover as a B-side for a future single?
We actually thought about like doing. So when I think about a cover, I never ever think about just covering the track. I always think about kind of taking it to pieces and making it our own. I always try to think of a good example. So like say for me, Arctic Monkeys when they covered Baby I'm Yours. that was just like, sounds like an Arctic Monkeys song now.
Yeah.
Isn't an Arctic Monkeys song though. Like that's
Yeah.
there's loads of tracks that you could rhyme off. But yeah, that's the kind of vibe I always go for with a cover, is you proper make it your own.
Yeah.
I don't know what one would go for though. That would be a heated discussion, I think, in the band room. I'd probably me and Lee, the bassist, would probably lean into like, even towards like the Beach Boys or something quite like, yeah, and you'd like try and create a rockier version. That might be terrible actually. That's not a good example. But anyway, we'd probably lean into that era of music is what I'm meaning.
Yeah.
And then try and somehow make it sound like a Black Rebel ripoff. So that's what I would go for. If even see like Motown songs and stuff, I always think they're relatively straightforward musically. But I think that, like, there's always hints of stuff when I listen to older type of music. I'm like, I think we could do this. I think we could do it. And I start kind of playing it out in my head and then going, maybe just leave that actually. But I don't know what one would go for. That's well, I mean, when we first started off, we just wanted to be the Arctic Monkeys. We just covered Arctic Monkeys song. All our early stuff sounds like the Arctic Monkeys.
Yeah.
It's the chord progressions. Ding, 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 ding,
Yeah.
ding, ding. Like, we just wanted to be them. Obviously, we covered the Strokes as well because that was the domino effect. It was the Strokes into the Arctic Monkeys into us. And obviously, we covered Oasis. All that kind of stuff. Stone Roses we covered quite a lot. We actually, I think, now I think it, there's no like much content of us covering tracks. I think the only, if I'm right in saying this, the only YouTube content up there is us covering Buffalo Springfield for What It's Worth.
Wow.
I think that's on YouTube. We've done a session at BBC Merseyside.
Oh, okay, yeah.
So we've done that, and that was probably mine and Lee's influence for the guys. So that was in the 60s, 70s. So was that 60s? Yeah, I think so. I think Vietnam time, wasn't it? So that would probably, like that. I like that kind of thing. That cover is actually exactly what I basically contradict myself, because we just covered that song. We never made it our own. But that's probably the only content that's flying about, to be fair. Any other content prior to 2015 I'd want to forget about anyway.
I'm sure. I bet someone somewhere's got some content, and
we probably should do it more. The more recent ones that I can think of, actually, we covered DMA's Delete just for a while. We done a few like stripped back kind of gigs. So it was always one that was fresh out, and I think we covered it pretty well. Everybody used to love it. So and apart from that, there's not been much coverage. Like, we used to do a gig in the local Mad Friday, so it was a Friday that everybody finished work for Christmas. So you can imagine how that was. And we used to just chuck in like, was it LSF we used to cover? No, I think, was it LSF? Aye, I think it was LSF. Aye, that's right, LSF. We used to cover Spread Your Love, Black Rebel, May the Stone Roses. Aye, like all that kind of thing. Champagne Supernova as well. That was always the ender. So that's probably the most relative, recent. Sorry, in the cover aspect. They were probably like 3-4 years ago. So
sure. Okay, it sounds like you've got some good. You've covered some pretty good stuff, and you've certainly food for thought for future material, mate. Not material, but for future covers even.
Yeah.
So if you were stranded on a desert island, I hope that doesn't actually happen, but which 3 albums would you bring with you to listen to?
Should always be prepared with this kind of in the back of your head. Abbey Road for one.
Great choice.
It's a hard one, actually. You wouldn't want to leave some great albums behind. I'm just having a wee peek over my shoulder at my record collection here.
Yeah, quick.
I don't actually know. Ones that would make me be positive anyway if I'm stranded on a desert island. Help's very relevant. And SOS as well, ABBA.
Brilliant, love it, absolutely love it. So for the band, obviously, what are your hopes and dreams for the next 5 years?
I just hope that all going well. I hope they can gig as much, tour, play in front of as many good people and meet as many happy faces as possible. That's what kind of keeps us going. We like feedback and full sweaty rooms and experiences at festivals, nicking other people's riders, sleeping in the van. We would get up to all sorts. No harm intended. But yeah, I just hope it can. Hopefully, 5 years, we're probably sitting comfortably on a $500,000 record deal, 5 albums deep, thinking about our greatest hits, and retiring.
That sounds like a great plan to me.
Class.
Well, what we'll have to do, we'll have to come back. Well, hopefully we'll talk to you again before the 5 years, but we'll definitely come back in 5 years and we'll do a throwback episode. Do you remember when? Jack, that is unfortunately the end of the podcast. Thanks very much for coming on. I've really enjoyed it. Getting to know a little bit more about you personally and the stories behind the cover artwork and the songs from the fantastic debut album When Does It Become Real, which viewers you can, and listeners of course, you can stream and download on all of the usual platforms. But to really help the band out and not give them about 3p from about 4,000 streams on Spotify, you can purchase a vinyl copy, which I think from the Big Cartel store. Is that correct? I think.
Yeah.
See the bios on the band's social media channels on all the usual places. And as we've mentioned in one of the questions earlier, don't forget the band have got 2 brand new singles coming out on the 4th of June, the AA side with Our Design and If You Never Try It, You'll Never Know, which again is available to stream and download from all of the usual platforms. And tickets for the tour in October, and maybe there might be something before then, are all on sale now. For those of you that are still listening, thank you very much. Please click subscribe on your podcast listening provider and tell your friends. Jack, thank you very much, my friend.
Mark, thanks for having me on, mate. I appreciate it.
Brilliant. Speak to you soon and good luck
with
the rest of the album.
Thank you. Cheers.